Beijing is ignoring warnings from last week's NATO summit in Washington and holding naval drills with Russia.
Just days after NATO called China a decisive enabler of the war in Ukraine, China's thumbed its nose at the alliance by patrolling with Russian vessels in western and northern Pacific stretches. China has shown it's not at all frightened by the U.S.-led rhetoric. It counters with this message to NATO: don't bring your chaos to Asia.
ABC's Tom Rivers. Scientists have found someplace where future astronauts could set up house on the moon.
It's one small step for man.
Not far from where Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed 55 years ago.
Giant leap for mankind.
Scientists have found a cave, and they think there are probably hundreds more that could be used to house future astronauts. The cave, believed to have been formed by lava from a moon volcano. The lead researcher on NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter team says they always thought moon caves existed. To actually prove their existence is exciting. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
NASA plans on landing astronauts on the moon again when it launches its Artemis 3 mission scheduled for September 2026. California Governor Gavin Newsom today signing a law barring school districts from requiring schools to notify parents if their child asks to change their gender identification or disclose a student's sexual orientation without the child's permission. Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
Don't let spring allergies make you miserable. Try the quick, drug-free solution trusted by over 4 million people. Navage. Only Navage uses suction to flush out your sinuses using refreshing saline, helping you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. And here's even better news. Navage is now available at your local Sam's Club in a great new value pack. It's everything you need to start breathing better fast. Check out Navage at your local Sam's Club today. Navage. N-A-V-A-G-E. Breathe easy.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
I'm Bill Walter, KVNU News. Utah leaders took to social media after a shooting at former President Donald Trump's rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, Saturday afternoon. Trump's campaign said in a statement that he was fine, although a prosecutor said the suspected gunman and at least one attendee were dead. Governor Spencer Cox called the attack sickening and horrifying. He said, quote, "Abby and I join all Americans in praying for him and hope justice is swift for anyone involved," end of quote. Senator Mike Lee posted a video of the incident with the caption, "Someone just tried to kill President Trump." He also asked for everyone to pray for Trump and for swift justice. Former Governor and U.S. Senator Mitt Romney said he is relieved that Trump is safe and doing well, and said it is outrageous and tragic that anyone would make such a heinous and evil act. On her personal account, Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson called Saturday's events terrible. She said it's a sad day in America. Utah House Democratic leader Angela Romero said she strongly condemns political violence against candidates, elected officials, and appointees, while the Utah Democratic Party also took to social media saying that political violence is wrong in any form. A West Jordan shooting left one injured. Officers are still searching for the suspect. Sergeant Hercules with West Jordan Police said the incident happened around 1 a.m. Sunday when an officer heard what sounded like gunshots. The officer called for backup, and when they arrived, found evidence of a shooting, including shell casings. Officers were unable to locate any witnesses or victims at the time, but were reportedly notified of a gunshot victim that had come to Jordan Valley Medical Center. Hercules said the victim sustained non-life-threatening injuries. The Major Crimes Investigation Unit is now investigating, but they are seeking any information about potential suspects. And 2 people are dead after they were struck by 2 separate vehicles on I-215 West in Murray early Saturday morning. In a full press release, Utah Highway Patrol said the incident occurred just before 4 a.m. near 900 West in the eastbound lanes. An SUV had pulled to the shoulder with a woman exiting the vehicle and entering the right travel lane when she was then struck by a silver Kia Spectra. Shortly after, the driver of the SUV, a man, then exited the vehicle and attempted to move towards the woman before he himself was struck by a dark-colored Volkswagen Tiguan. The woman was pronounced dead at the scene. The man was transported to a nearby hospital where he later died from his injuries. The eastbound lanes of I-215 West were closed at Redwood Road for hours as troopers investigated. The road has since been reopened. KVNU weather brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. If you are in construction, agriculture, or industrial work, you need your oil to do its job. Find it on sale at Napa. Locally owned from Preston to Providence. Slight chance of a shower this evening and patchy smoke, partly cloudy, low in the low 60s. Sunny, patchy smoke on Tuesday, high around 95. Get more news at CashValleyDaily.com.
And I said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat.
Join Utah Festival Opera and Musical Theater July 5th through August 3rd for show-stopping performances in Logan. Professional performers from Broadway and all over bring you Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats, the lively classic Guys and Dolls, the hilarious Anything Goes with spectacular tap dancing and music by Cole Porter. Stop the commercial! I'm interrupting myself to tell you that Utah students K through 12 can get a free ticket to all Utah Festival performances this summer. Claim yours online now. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Cult classic Little Shop of Horrors and Puccini's opera Gianni Schicchi with its sequel Buoso's Ghost. Plus, late-night cabarets, 5 concerts, breakfast with the stars, academy classes, and more. Tickets at utahfestival.org. utahfestival.org.
It all happens here. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Grasshopper and other pest problems? Here's Chad the lawn doctor with a solution.
Grasshoppers are a problem again this year. It's been mentioned and written about in the news and by experts. Watch for the baby nymphs initially, and then as they develop to adults, they feed on vegetation both on the farms and in your gardens at home. Treatment is best early on, but can be treated at any time. Enjoy your summer nights, barbecues, and parties with our Yard Armor Pest Control Service that controls grasshoppers, mosquitoes, spiders, wasps, and other insects. Give us a call at 435-753-LAWN or find us at lawndoctorcashvalley.com.
Today's hearing aid technology can improve not only your life, but the lives of the people who care about you. Once again, you'll be able to hear the reason for their laughter and understand conversations. Dr. Paul Danes will customize a hearing improvement program to meet your unique requirements, whatever they are. Call Dr. Danes for an appointment at 753-HERE and let him show you how.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
I'm Mike Gavin in for Gordon Deal. Tuesday on This Morning, America's First News, the latest on the investigation into the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. Plus, tired and done, how Americans are exhausted after yet another event that could spark more political division. We'll get reaction from around the country. And how to avoid scams and fakes while shopping on Amazon Prime Day. All that and more when Gordon returns Tuesday on This Morning, America's First News.
From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Well, I love a rainy night. I love a rainy night. I love to hear the thunder. Watch the lightning when it lights up the sky. You know it makes me feel good. Well, I love a rainy night. Such a beautiful sight. I love to feel the rain on my face. Taste the rain on my lips. In the moonlight shadows. Showers wash all my cares away. I wake up to it.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Hour 2 of today's show. It is Monday, July 15th. It is hot in this studio. Honestly, I don't know what is going on. Usually it's cold in the studios, but today I am dying in here. Just sweat running off my forehead. So, if I sound angry, that's why. No, I won't sound angry. But if I just suddenly stop talking, I passed out. Somebody send some help. All right, Bill's nodding. This was an interesting debate that popped up over the weekend that I posted to our Facebook page. But so the Utah legislature is teaming up with businesses in the tech sector, and they put some money aside for this in the legislative process, and they've basically said, artificial intelligence is coming. We know that, right? That's it, for better or worse, because I still, I said this about the self-driving car too. Who did anybody really want these things? I didn't know anybody. I didn't know. And sometimes we see this happen where something picks up some steam internally at some company, and then it just gets talked about a lot, and then suddenly everybody's talking about it, but no one ever said, hey, what would be great is if we had, and I wonder if there's a bit of that with artificial intelligence. One thing I'll tell you honestly, as a quick aside to kind of set the stage for why you shouldn't freak out about this, what you're about to hear, but I think they're really overselling artificial intelligence, really overselling, because everything we've seen has said its capabilities are pretty limited. This isn't this isn't this isn't Skynet, and that's good, right? Because that was bad in that movie, that fictionalized landscape where the robots take over. We don't want that in reality. But I mean, when I say it's not Skynet, I'm saying this isn't actually that intelligent, what we've seen so far. Its practical applications are many, and I can see it being huge in some settings. But I saw a story a couple of weeks ago about, one day your dentist might be software. I doubt that. Maybe dentist. But in the same story, they said, and then eventually, for minor procedures, your surgeon might be software, might be a software with some robotic hands. No, definitely not in any of our lifetimes. I don't care if you're like 5 years old out there listening, not in any of our lifetimes. Maybe one day we get so comfortable being around 100 years from now. We get so comfortable with artificial intelligence and software and robotics. And we'll probably be, well into quantum computing at that point, which is, making computers out of cells and atoms, or with cells and atoms. I just don't see there ever being a time when someone wants to go under the knife to have, even a minor surgery. I guess maybe certain types of surgeries, like something that would be outpatient. I can see someone, but I don't think anybody's ever going to be comfortable being put under and then just, slid into a box and then the robots and the software go to work. I don't know. When I was talking to a relative about this, relative of mine said, hey, you go to one of those new car washes here in the valley, LW's across the street from us. These little cameras scan your car, and there's software that says, okay, there's the shape of the car. Because if you've noticed, if you've ever gone through in a pickup, it moves right around the shape of the pickup. If you've ever gone through with a vehicle with a ski rack or a luggage rack on top, it notices that and it goes around the shape of it. That is pretty smart. But surgery's a bit more complex than spraying soap and then water on a car and having a system to make sure the arms that do that don't crush parts of the car. I don't think most people are going to be comfortable with, hey, it's as smart as a car wash. We're just going to slide you in. It's going to take out your spleen. That's not going to happen. But in certain applications, you can see someone suggested that car maintenance. This was discussed at this meeting. So, again, this took place with lawmakers meeting with industry leaders to talk about AI in a way. This is one of the most for all my criticism of the legislature's reactiveness and almost childishness, pettiness, I should say, over the last couple of years when it comes to, any questioning of their power and smarts. They've just been really kind of weird about that kind of stuff. This is one of the smartest things, though, that I think any state is doing. What they decided to do was, through the legislative process, they passed a bill, which was basically just a resolution, a message bill. No one has to listen to it, but people usually do because they're the legislature. And if you ignore them, they can come back the next year and then get really petty. So they passed legislation, a resolution that said the state should begin knowing that artificial intelligence is coming and that it could be in use, within the next year, even in everything from tax settings to tax prep, of course, but also, tax collection, numbers crunching, the way the state goes about analyzing. So right now, this is a great example, actually. During the legislative session, there are a handful, I think 50 or so legislative researchers and attorneys whose job it is when a lawmaker comes to them and says, I want to run this bill, and here's some basic text that I have. There's an entire team of people called legislative research, and their entire job is to go through and see how that bill interacts with existing statute, and then, of course, write the actual language of the bill in legalese. Some lawmakers do that on their own, but not most. So this team of people goes through and does what the lawmaker wants done, but they translate it into legalese, into bill language, and then they also go through and make references in the bill language to any other statute affected by that bill. And then lawmaker staff takes that and they'll contextualize it for the lawmakers and say, well, the reason it's important that this bill interacts with this existing statute in this way is one intended consequence could be X. So that's the whole process. Imagine this happening in a split second with artificial intelligence. It's really possible. I don't want to scare, the attorneys and very experienced researchers in legislative research, but their job could be software one day. That's an example that was brought up. Oil changes, also discussed at this meeting. Again, this was lawmakers sitting down with industry experts and just doing kind of pie in the sky thinking and talking out loud and recording it so the public could listen later. The goal of this is lawmakers say, look, with artificial intelligence, being on the brink of this and knowing it's coming, again, for better or worse, it's going to need to be regulated in some way. It can't just be the Wild West. We know that. We've had bad experiences when we tried to do that before with self-driving cars and other things like that lately. The gig economy, as they called it, when Uber and Airbnb were just new. Lawmakers learned their lesson that just kind of letting this stuff run on its own for a little while, it sometimes gets messy and far more expensive for taxpayers after the fact. And so they're saying we want to put some guardrails in place. We want to make sure that a person's identity, that it would be very clearly spelled out, the penalties for artificial intelligence, even inadvertently, stealing someone's identity and acting on that. Now, that's an extreme example and probably pretty easy to avoid, but it's not written down yet. So that's, kind of an interesting part of the legislature's work is a lot of what they're doing is just that. Like, hey, this has never been actually spelled out in statute before, and now it needs to be. So they had this meeting. It was a 2-day event, Friday and a Saturday, and they just brainstormed. But it was fascinating to listen. So I downloaded the audio. I've linked to it on our Facebook page, and I listened to it over the weekend. Everything. I mentioned oil changes. I'd never thought about that. But, this could be software and a robotic arm. Much like a car wash, it needs to know what kind of car you're driving. That information could be typed in by a human being or even scan. Maybe your car starts coming with a QR code that can be scanned from the outside without even opening a door. It tells them exactly where the drain plug is, the oil filter is, and then robotic arms that are designed to perfectly fit within the engineering of that vehicle's engine space, remove the filter, drain the pan, take the cap off on top, put the plug back in, put a new filter on, and refill it with 5 quarts of oil. That could absolutely be a handful of robotic arms and software. Fast food drive-up windows. That one didn't really sell me because what are you talking about there? You're talking about artificial intelligence that basically picks something up from the cook and sticks it out the window in somebody's face. I don't see that there's ever going to be a burning desire to employ artificial intelligence in a robotic arm at a drive-through window. I don't see it. So some of the things they discussed, I was like, nah. But there were a lot of things I'd never thought of. UDOT came up and road maintenance. You've seen, the chipping and sealing going on here in Cache Valley. Obviously, you would have to have humans involved in closing the roads, moving lanes if there's any kind of traffic pattern change to the lanes because of construction or a chip and seal project or whatever it might be. Humans will have to be involved in that, always. But once the road is closed and the stretch that's going to be chipped and sealed is just waiting to be prepped, scraped and re-chipped and then after some time sealed, this could actually just be software and machines. Somebody walks over, flips them on, everybody goes home. Software and machines do their thing overnight even. And that's how this kind of came up in the context of UDOT. One lawmaker at this meeting said, wait, so you're saying artificial intelligence could mean that we aren't dealing with daytime closures and construction anymore? And someone said, yeah, I mean, software and robots, unless there's a safety reason that you wouldn't want them operating at night, in certain areas that might be the case, but just a chip and seal on a stretch of road that's already been closed, somebody flips them on around midnight, they do their thing till 4 or 5 in the morning. Maybe you make them super quiet even. And then in the morning, somebody flips them off and that road is chipped and sealed. I hadn't thought of that. That's an interesting application. And here was the kicker, though. The theme that popped up again and again is actually talking about artificial intelligence in a way that is not at all new. If you've ever heard of something called a control system, Pepperidge Farm, their building is just cluttered with control systems. And control systems sometimes are actually mechanical. There are old home sprinkler systems that were actually mechanical dials that would rock and click in a certain pattern and mesh with each other in a certain way that would cause the sprinkler system to operate and the valve to be open and the solenoid to be pulled up and the sprinklers to go off at a certain time for a certain amount of time. And it was actually metal dials and gears and like an old clock. But that was a control system. It changed in the 80s, started changing to electronics more, and now we're to the point where it's literally like little tablets stuck to walls with a touch screen and software. But a control system is something that just basically handles a system that is chock full of 1 million different variables or 10 different variables, doesn't matter. Software can handle it all and make sure that if X happens, Y happens, or when Y is happening, X doesn't happen, or whatever it is you need. A lot of times they're used on cooling and freezing systems. Or like at Pepperidge Farm, they use them on some of their production facilities so that, something that has to be stored at a certain temperature, but that temperature has to be achieved slowly. The temperature has to go down a degree at a time over an hour. That's a control system handles that. And that's all we're talking about here. So to put artificial intelligence in perspective, lawmakers, that light bulb seemed to go on. And as I'm listening to them, you can kind of hear that light bulb go on. And then it's going on for me too, because I'm listening to the audio recording. And they're saying, we get it now. We've been, everybody's been so afraid of artificial intelligence and what it's going to do and jobs it's going to replace and all that. But what we're actually talking about is just a huge advance in software operating as a control system, but now with many more scenarios where that can be applied. And as far as, the actual interaction, most of that's going to involve robotics, and that there's nothing new about that whatsoever. It was comforting, but it was at the same time eye-opening and even a couple of times shocking when they would be discussing something, and it was something I'd never once in my life, despite the fact that I am what you would describe accurately as a tech nerd, both in profession and hobbies. I had never thought of some of these applications. The oil change one was the one that blew me away. That could just be a little drive-through building with no humans in it whatsoever. You pay a subscription or scan your debit or credit card when you pull in, and a QR code on the bottom or side of your car is scanned. It knows what your car looks like, where the plug and filter are, where the drain pan is, how many quarts you need, what types, depending on the time of year even. And you pull in, robotic arms do their thing, you drive away. It's like brand new and not new at all at the same time. Check it out. I've linked to the full discussion again. Lawmakers meeting with leaders of Silicon Slopes and other software development firms here in Utah to talk about AI from the perspective of, basically lawmakers asking the question of, okay, how do we want to regulate this? It's an interesting thing to hear. It's about an hour and 20 minutes long. The entire thing was a 2-day event, but this is the part they recorded, and it's worth a listen. Link again where you can download that audio courtesy of the governor's office on our Facebook page, and we'll be back right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
As a math teacher for 37 years, I always taught by using real-life examples. I'm retired now, but I still like using examples, like my decision to live at Legacy House of Logan. They offer beautiful 1- and 2-bedroom studios, add a range of fun activities, plus new friends and home-cooked meals. Then subtract the hassle of keeping after my old house and yard. And it all adds up to a fulfilling life that's perfect for me. Legacy House of Logan on 1400 North and online at legacylogan.com.
The Do It for Dawson 3-on-3 tourney is back. Register your team for all the fun, food, and prizes. Plus, see some amazing special guests. Saturday, August 3rd at Mountain Crest High School. Every age, every ability is welcome. All proceeds help local families, children, and programs in need. Honor Dawson's legacy and join the fun at the Do It for Dawson 3-on-3 tourney, August 3rd at Mountain Crest High School. Registration open until July 20th. Google Do It for Dawson. That's Do It for Dawson for registration and information.
Every day, Doctors Without Borders teams confront hard facts in conflict and crisis zones. When others might look away, we step in to act. Because measles still kills more than 100,000 children every year. We're there to vaccinate over 1 million worldwide, including those affected by the current outbreak in Democratic Republic of Congo. Because half of all maternal deaths occur during delivery or within 24 hours. We've assisted more than 1.4 million births around the world, including care for new mothers in Afghanistan. Because some countries only have 1 or 2 mental health professionals, we offer counseling and clinical care, providing over 400,000 mental health consultations worldwide last year, including care for migrants and refugees on the dangerous journey north from Central America. The fact is, your acts of care and compassion make our life-saving work possible. Picture the impact we can have together. DoctorsWithoutBorders.org.
Coming up on For the People, state foresters and fire officials are sounding the alarm on a notable and I mean by quite a bit uptick in the number of roadside fires in Utah since Memorial Day. But on the other side of the news, we'll talk about what they believe might be behind this. And I'll just say this, it might be related, the potential explanation for the uptick in roadside fires, to the number of citations for cars with zero taillights or brake lights going up in Utah over the last couple of years as well. We'll break it down, what the forester had to say about the data they're seeing, again, in this noticeable uptick. The reason this is alarming, officials said, is that it's the number of resources, hours, man hours, and more it's taking from fire crews is not sustainable. Even though these are small roadside fires, easy to put out, everyone requires a standard response of multiple vehicles and then traveling to the scene and staying to do an assessment, which can take hours to make sure the fire does not spark back up. Well, crews are doing that. They're not doing other things. So it could be a big deal, the state forester said. But again, what's behind this, or at least what the theory is, after the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Jason. A suspicious fire that sparked Sunday morning and completely consumed a Layton home is under investigation. Layton City Fire Department Battalion Chief Jason Cook said dispatch received 3 simultaneous reports of what was believed to be a house, vehicle, or brush fire around 1:30 in the morning on Sunday. Upon arrival, crews found 3 vehicles and a house that were extensively involved. According to Chief Cook, the fire sparked in either a camper trailer parked in front of the house or the grass in the home's front yard. The flames then extended to the residence, a car parked in the driveway, and a tow truck. At one point, the home became fully involved. Crews extinguished the blaze within 40 minutes. A group of juveniles were reportedly seen at a popular trailhead near the home immediately before the fire ignited. Chief Cook said this appeared unusual due to it being nearly 1:30 a.m. As a result, the fire is being investigated as a suspicious incident. The motorcyclist killed in a head-on crash up Little Cottonwood Canyon has been identified by authorities. Salt Lake County Sheriff's deputies said 38-year-old Neil Monroe was killed on impact in the crash that occurred just before 7:45 Friday night. Authorities said Monroe was traveling westbound on Little Cottonwood Canyon Road when he was believed to have lost control while navigating a turn, causing him to collide head-on with an eastbound vehicle. The crash prompted an hours-long closure of the road near Iron Blossom Hotel at Snowbird. Deputies reported that the driver of the involved vehicle is cooperating with the investigation. KVNU weather brought to you by Logan Extermination. Summer heat is wrecking your lawn. Bill bugs are hatching. Call Logan Extermination for a full exterior spray. They will solve your bug problem. 752-8450. Slight chance of a shower or thunderstorm early this evening. Patchy smoke, partly cloudy skies. Overnight low in the low 60s. Patchy smoke on Tuesday. Otherwise, sunshine around 95 for the high. Get more news at CashValleyDaily.com.
This is a special report from ABC News, the Republican National Convention. I'm Chuck Sievertson. Donald Trump has chosen a new, just serving 2 years so far, Ohio Senator as his running mate, J.D. Vance. Both are officially nominated at the convention in Milwaukee. This is not an exoneration, but a kind of technicality for a case not going away, says ABC's Christiane Cordero.
The Justice Department has given special counsel Jack Smith permission to appeal today's dismissal of former President Trump's classified documents case, according to a spokesperson for the special counsel. The Florida judge ruled the special counsel was unconstitutionally appointed to the case. Further litigation on the case, including the appeal, will likely take months.
Judge Eileen Cannon said, unlike other special counsels, Smith wasn't appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate. Smith's office argues the appointment by the Attorney General follows the law. The FBI's managed to get into the Trump rally shooter's cell phone, officials say. This is ABC News.
This is Cache County Fire Chief Rod Hammer. Due to current and predicted weather conditions coupled with extremely dry vegetation in northern Utah, the state forester has determined that measures must be taken to prevent the ignition of forest and rangeland fires. The following acts are prohibited in unincorporated private and state lands. First, no open fires of any kind except within established public facilities, in improved campgrounds, picnic areas, or in permanently constructed fire pits at private homes where running water is present. Second, no smoking except within an enclosed vehicle, trailer, or building, a developed recreation site, or while stopped in an area that is paved or free from dry vegetation. Third, no discharging or using any fireworks, tracer ammunition, or other pyrotechnic devices, including exploding targets. Fourth, no cutting, welding, or grinding metal in areas of dry vegetation. And fifth, no operating a motorcycle, chainsaw, ATV, or other small internal combustion engine without an approved and working spark arrestor. Please help us by doing your part to prevent costly and dangerous wildfires.
Bell Medical is so excited to announce we won Best of State. With so many awards and industry-leading board-certified plastic surgeons, you can be confident you're partnering with the best in weight loss and awake lipo. Right now until the end of the month, you can get a Bell Sculpt 360 procedure starting at just $42.50 or a mommy makeover at $52.50. Our best of sell ever. We're so confident in our results, we offer our Bell Guarantee, 2 to 5 inches of fat loss after just one treatment. Book your consultation today to lock in your savings at bellmedical.com.
back to KVNU's For the People. For those interested, the the Sundance Film Festival are hosting their, they call this festival Favorites Local Lens. Basically, it's an opportunity for people who maybe don't want to go up to Park City in January when it's often snowing and 2 degrees, or maybe they just didn't have time. Maybe they don't want to fight the crowds or go through the arduous process of trying to get tickets for these movies during the film festival. They bring them back around for locals, and this will start July 17th. Most of them are in Salt Lake. There is one in Ogden, and a lot of them, most of them are in Park City. There are a handful in Salt Lake and one in Ogden, and they are the audience favorites and award winners from the 2024 festival, and you can check them out. I posted a link to that on our Facebook page if you'd like to see one of the big winners from the festival itself before they hit theaters. And by the way, these are free. So first come, first served at the theaters, though, as well. Utah fire officials are talking about something that stumped me for a bit until I got reading through this and did some other research, and then suddenly it all kind of clicked into place. Fireworks season, of course, is the biggest concern this time of year. That's when most human-caused fires are sparked. And then, of course, that's immediately followed by monsoon season when lightning takes over for the humans. It keeps firefighters busy, and it really is no joke because every time they go out on a call, their lives are at risk. It's a serious thing. And so reducing the number of human-caused wildfires is something everyone would like to figure out a way to do. So, of course, fireworks season and getting people to be more responsible with fireworks is one approach that's been somewhat effective, but the state forester in the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands at the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands said, we made some headway on that, but there's a lot of room in public education we still need to do based on the incidents we saw and what types of incidents we saw in the 2 days before, 2 days after the 4th of July holiday. Then they got on to the other thing, which turns out is moderately sized, but at risk, each and every one, for becoming the next, 100,000 acre wildfire that puts homes and lives at risk, are these small roadside fires. And state state fire officials with the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands today said that they're noticing a sharp uptick in 2024 of small roadside fires. Now, officials were quick to say, as they discussed this press release today, that these are fires that generally are easy to get out and usually in urban areas, so a response from the fire department is quick. But every call does mean they suit up, they get in the trucks, multiple vehicles arrive, they put the fire out, and then they've got hours sitting there to make sure it's safe to leave, which is protocol for good reason. And Carl Hunt, the division's public information officer, said today, obviously it goes without saying, anytime firefighters are at the scene of something, they are not at the scene of something else. And this could be a problem, especially as we enter monsoon season. And so they're sounding the alarm on this. Now, 56 is the number of wildfires that have roadside wildfires since Memorial Day. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it is 21 more than last year and 23 more than the year before. And so, understandably, they started asking questions. What might this be about? And some obvious guesses, maybe it's just more people on the roads, maybe more people traveling over the 4th of July. Biggest travel holiday weekend of the year, or holiday week of the year, is July 3rd through 10th. And so maybe that's all it is. But as they got digging more, some other theories have emerged. And Carl Hunt said that most of these could be attributed to equipment failure or improper maintenance or improper operating procedure. So human error, basically, or human negligence in the case of improper equipment maintenance. He said fires started from equipment were our highest cause over the weekend, this last weekend. Equipment is kind of a broad category, he acknowledges, but he said we're talking here about motor vehicles, and we're talking about trailers and RVs and all of this stuff. And he said had 6 fire starts that were related to vehicles alone just in the last week. And so they're trying to get at the bottom of what is leading to this sharp increase this year specifically. Also noted in the release, the state of Utah, as of July 2nd, had experienced these 56 fires, plus 6 more since then, mentioned in the press release today. But the data collected ended July 2nd, and they said that of these 56 fires between Memorial Day and July 2nd, motor vehicles started every single one, and in some way or another. And with all the dry, hot weather conditions, they led to something that could have been a massive wildfire in each and every case. What they found is now there's some obvious stuff that we've heard about before. So there were fires that they believe it can be attributed to dragging chains, something hitting the roadway and causing a spark. But Hunt said they were able to, on several of these, narrow them down to bald tires with the actual metal. Now, just a quick PSA from me. If you can see the metal belts in your tire, your car is a death trap, just waiting to happen. Whether it's that tire going out at a high speed and sending you into a spin or even a roll, or whether it's that tire trapping you in a 95-degree temperature in the middle of a hot parking lot with your cell phone locked inside the car and your keys nowhere to be found. That's what happened to a woman in Utah just 2 weeks ago. Tire was flat when she left a department store. She was so flustered by that, she set her phone and keys down on the seat to go see if she could get the spare out, shut the door. Then, not being able to get the spare out, shut the trunk, was locked out of her car without her cell phone or her keys, and suffered heat stroke. She was later transported by ambulance. Now, obviously, that's an extreme and rare situation, but this stuff is so easy to prevent. I know tires aren't cheap, but you can plan for it. What I didn't know, that story I knew. What I didn't know is that a handful of these 56 fires were caused by bald tires with the metal belts of the tire actually showing, and those do cause sparks on roadways, and when it's this hot and the fuel is that dry, that's enough. So that was a few of them, Hunt said. With all the fuel so, quote, ripe for ignition, they know that in several cases, dragging chains or some piece of the vehicle. I thought that was an interesting part of his press conference today. He said some piece of the vehicle dragging on the road. How do you not know? They also had a camper trailer, he said, that had a piece of tin that had fallen off, that was hanging loose off the side of it, and it had dropped down while the motorist was traveling. They hadn't noticed, and it was hitting the road on a regular basis. That piece of tin on a camp trailer just outside of Heber City started 7 roadside fires in a 20-mile stretch headed south from Heber City. 7. Luckily, they were all close together, and firefighters were able to douse them quickly. But the firefighters were out the entire day on those 7 roadside fires in one 20-mile stretch of road south of Heber City from one camper trailer with a piece of tin flipping off the side they hadn't noticed. Hunt said all of these factors contribute to having something happen while you're traveling down the road, or all these factors can be attributed to having something while you're traveling down the road. And then he didn't say it, but he said it. He basically said that what might be behind the sharp increase this year in roadside fires is the end of safety inspections. I've talked about this, and don't get me wrong, I am the biggest fan of the end of safety. It is so nice to not have to do that, It was such a pain and time consuming. It's so nice. Big fan. But you can't deny that you've seen it yourself driving down the road. I guarantee you have. I know I have, but we have all seen an increase in that car in front of you that has headlights but nothing else. Because everybody notices if a headlight's out, right? Eventually you turn them on in the dark and you notice your headlight's out, you go fix it, hopefully. But many people just assume, I guess, that the brake lights and marker lights on the back of the car last forever or immortal, and they never check. And I know that's not always easy to do, especially brake lights. You have to have someone hitting the brake for you. Or you can do what I do, find reflective glass on the front of a building somewhere and just kind of point the back of your vehicle towards it and see if everything lights up. I do that on a regular basis because, honestly, you're driving around on a Friday night, you will get pulled over for that, and it will take a good hour of your night. That's inconvenient and annoying to me, so I check my lights. But also, I don't want to get slammed into from somebody behind me driving a much larger and heavier vehicle, maybe going faster than me, that doesn't know I'm hitting my brakes to turn because I don't have brake lights and a turn signal. That's how I've always thought of the drawback to the ending of safety inspections is that, again, we've all seen it, but I've noticed a lot more cars driving around the valley with zero lights on the back at dusk and dark. And that driver has no idea. Safety inspections would fix that. The tire thing, safety inspections, they'd look at your tires, they'd let you know, hey, you could probably make it through the rest of the summer with that tire, but you're going to want to replace them before winter. I think that's a good thing. And some people, honestly, don't know and don't check. Again, 56 roadside wildfires since Memorial Day, between Memorial Day and July 2nd, and the state forester saying, without coming right out and saying it, that he believes the noticeable uptick began in roadside fires caused by motorists and vehicles. He said the noticeable uptick began the summer after the first full year. I mean, in the summer of the first full year that safety inspections were not required in Utah, state forester says it was noticeable. Now, this doesn't mean safety inspections have to come back, and that's not what I'm advocating for here. And I can't speak for the state forester. I don't know if it is or is not what he was advocating for. I know I'm not. I hated safety inspections. Time-consuming, pain in the behind, and every time I would think, you know what, I can just check this stuff myself. But I do. And I realize not everyone does. So here's the thing. If we're seeing a lot more roadside fires because people are driving around with steel belts showing or pieces of metal hanging off their car, or in one case, an accident in which one motorist didn't see the other motorist, bumped that car off the side of the road into some dry grass, engine was warm enough, there was a fire, and they barely got that car off of the dry grass before the car was part of the fire, and then the fire crews had to come out and fight the fire for the rest of the night and didn't get home until 1 in the morning. State forester told that whole story today. All of these scenarios are avoidable. As far as those fires of the 56 since Memorial Day that they attribute to lack of vehicle maintenance, I'll just say it this way. If this continues, they will bring safety inspections back. If you don't want that to happen, safety inspect your car at least twice a year. At least twice a year, take the personal responsibility of doing a safe. You can Google what you should be checking. It's very easy. Do a safety inspection on your car. Make sure all your lights are working. Make sure there's nothing loose. This time of year, make sure there's nothing dragging. And if your tires are showing steel belts, you should not be on the roadways, especially in the temperatures we're just coming out of over the last few days. But any time of year. If we don't all if we start seeing things like this on a regular basis, a sharp increase in roadside wildfires that can be directly attributed to lack of vehicle maintenance by drivers in Utah, they will bring safety inspections back. That's all the justification they'd need, and they would do it. So if you don't want annual safety inspections to come back, you got to step up and start doing at least twice a year at least a quick glance over of your lights and tires and all the things on your car. Make sure it's securely attached, because I'm telling you, they'll come back. We'll be back right after this.
Hey Utah, summer has come alive. All better in a new vehicle from Murdoch Hyundai. Receive 1.99% for 5 years on a Tucson or Elantra SEL, or lease a Tucson for $377 per month, or an Elantra for $276 per month. And every new Hyundai comes with America's best warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty, and owner's assurance. When you walk through our doors, you feel like family. At Murdoch Hyundai in Logan, Linden, Murray, or online at murdochhyundai.com.
Call 888-391-6083 or see dealer for complete details. Offer expires 7/31/24.
Retirement. Are you ready? Adams Wealth Advisors specializes in preparing you for a secure retirement. There's no reason to feel frustrated. The team at Adams Wealth will create a personalized plan that includes timing of retirement, reliable income sources, Social Security, estate planning, and more. Adams Wealth Advisors has a team of CPA, certified financial planners, Social Security experts to help you plan and retire with confidence. Call today, 752-1702, or visit adamswealthadvisors.com. That's adamswealthadvisors.com. Your dream retirement starts here.
Discount Tire. So much more than a tire store.
To protect your skin from the hot sun, use sunscreen. To protect yourself from high tire prices, go to Discount Tire and Automotive. Save now at Discount Tire's 48th anniversary sale. Get a $40 instant rebate when you buy 4 select Road-X tires, like the RX Quest or MX 440. Discount Tire scours the competition to be sure no one sells tires for less, online or in store. Guaranteed lowest prices, period. Easy layaway available. All RV, boat, trailer, and ATV tires are on sale now. Don't get burned elsewhere. Make your tire and service reservations online at webtires.net or stop by Discount Tire, 885 North Main in Logan, 110 South Highway 165 in Providence, and 728 South Main in Smithfield.
Discount Tire. So much more than a tire store.
South of the border. Welcome back to KVNU's For the People.
Mexico way.
Wrapping up the show as often as I remember to, or we have the time for, on a lighter note when the news has been especially heavy. It feels especially heavy the last, couple of months here this year. And we're not even really into the most heated portion of the presidential race and our general elections in general. But trying to honor that promise to a listener who once said that I was depressing her with some of the news stories we'd chosen for the show that day. Wrapping up the show on some lighter notes. Now, this is not so much light ha-ha news as it is odd and interesting news. And one of them does come with a bit of a rant from me. So first one, I'll just mention it. You can read the full story if you'd like to on our Facebook page. But with the change of the guard in Britain after the political turmoil and UK elections that have taken place, Yahoo News has a profile on Larry, the Downing Street cat, who, by the way, is the longest-serving resident of Downing Street in London, 14 years. He has been the Downing Street cat through 5 Conservative prime ministers and is about to enter the first term of the first Labour Party prime minister that will take over with Larry on staff. Larry apparently is fiercely protective of his territory and has spots in the buildings there at Downing Street that are known to be his. They also said that witnesses have found Larry, the Downing Street cat, chasing a fox, chasing pigeons off of the patios, and more. Larry made his first appearance. Now, this was a cat that literally just moved in. First appearance, February of 2011. And then he was adopted officially, working with the Battersea Shelter in South London. Prime Minister David Cameron at the time said, we should make this the official cat. It was a lark. It was a joke. Now, 14 years later, Larry owns the place. And some great pictures in this Yahoo story. I've linked to it on our Facebook page. Wrapping up the show here with this one and a bit of a rant. A cyclist was fined for kissing his wife in the Tour de France competition. Julien Bernard. They were all gathered on a hillside after they greeted him as Tour de France passed by his own home. So the Tour's going past his own home, and his family's all out there. And he stops for a second and just kisses his wife on the mouth, and he's being fined for this. Why? Because of anti-celebration rules, similar to the rules that supposedly stop the receiver in an NFL game from dancing a little too long in the end zone. This is all in the name of good sportsmanship because, people felt, I didn't, but people felt it was getting a little out of hand. Some of the celebration in the end zones or celebration during and after a race. And it was getting to the point where it was kind of taking some of the fun out of it when players were actually kind of being mean to each other. And so, a lot of these big sports franchises adopted these rules that, celebration was banned. And so a cyclist in the Tour de France will be facing a 200 Swiss franc fine. And he said he would do it again. He said, my wife organized for everyone to come and see me at that point in the race as we were literally riding past my own home. And I wanted to show my gratitude for her doing that. I leaned over and kissed her. But Tour de France officials are not backing down. They said the rule is very clear and that all competitors are trained on what the rule means and how it's applied, and he should have known better. But come on. Kind of uptight, right? If you want to read the full story and some funny reactions from him and his wife over the fine, I've linked to it on our Facebook page. That's our time for today.